Open your mind.
Hey out there, this is Buzz with TheSurvivalBuzz. So I had a viewer comment recently on a video and said, why don't I do some more homesteading videos? And so I figured today I would shoot one. You guys that have been out there a while watching along, probably seen some of this stuff, but I figured I'd make a fresh video of it. Honestly, I don't have a lot of gardening stuff going on right now, nothing worth showing you. Working, 60 hours a week has really been taking a toll on me, and then having to push mow my whole yard, so I haven't really had a lot of time for gardening. I've got some bell peppers, jalapenos, a bunch of herbs, a few tomatoes. We had some cucumbers, but they burned out, but nothing really worth showing you. I've got berries planted all over, strawberries and blackberries, because they come back every year, so I'm trying to get a lot of that stuff growing around the yard. But today I wanted to shoot a fresh video on taking care of chickens, and kind of show you guys out there that are unfamiliar with this world how easy it really is and how inexpensive it is, and the return you can expect to get back. So without further ado, here we go. Alright, so for those of you that watched my frugal prepping video, have already seen this little tractor setup that I have going here. Pretty primitive, didn't cost me much. I have like less than $100 in this, probably not even close to that, but a lot of the stuff I already had on hand, and I just pieced together stuff I found. And then in here, a hog pan, $7. Water is probably $12. So not a lot of cost there, and these guys are eating about 10 cups of feed a day, meat bird food. I did have 12 birds in here, and we butchered 6 the other day. The bigger ones, letting these guys fatten up a little bit. And my birds are kind of a modge podge of several different breeds. These are Rhode Island Red, New Hampshire Red, Plymouth Rocks, Americanas, Silkies, and as you can see, they all end up with certain characteristics. That one right there looks kind of like a Silky, even though it's bred with other birds. And I'm looking to add some probably heftier birds for my mink birds, because these aren't getting quite as big as I'd like them to. But yeah, they're just kind of a mixture of all kinds of breeds. And as far as the feed goes for my meat birds, as well as my baby chicks, I use just this brand meat bird food here. It's about $23 a bag if I do remember correctly. And toward the end of the video, I'll get to what I pay all together for feed. But along with that, the meat birds, anything in a tractor, which is what I just showed you, they're actually getting grass, fresh bugs. And let me just show you what you get up with that. So you can see these are the tracks of where I move the pen about every 2 days with this many birds in here. Looks horrible, right? It actually does wonders, because right here is where they were running a few weeks before. And I actually believe it's getting rid of a lot of my weeds, honestly, because the stuff coming up is fresh, clean grass. So if you have them in a tractor, it significantly cuts your feed supply down. Because like I said, they're getting fresh grass, fresh bugs. It's almost like you're free ranging them, you're just moving them. There's a lot of predators out here where I live, so I prefer to have all mine pinned up. And as far as how I store my feed, I keep them in these plastic garbage cans. Depending on where you're storing them at, I don't really have any problem with big rats or anything like that. So I've never had an issue in several years with them actually getting into these containers of feed. They hold quite a bit. It's an easy way to not have to go to the store constantly for feed. You just stock up. Keeps them airtight. Well, I wouldn't say airtight, but at least keeps the elements out of them, keeps animals and critters out of them. And that's an easy way to store. These didn't cost me much, probably 15 bucks a piece. All right, so my meat birds get a little bit more, like I said, in feed. I'm giving them about 6 meat birds, about 10 cups a day, so I'm feeding them a little bit extra just to fatten them up. But as far as having chickens for eggs, just having layers, they really only need roughly 3/4 to a cup of feed per bird a day. So not a lot of expense there, and the more creative you get on feeding them, the more you can save and things. You know, if I got extra scraps, or if I'm growing, like here, I'm about to plant some more kale. If I'm growing kale and things like that, some greens to give them, you can cut even more off the cost. So there's a lot of other things you can do to feed them and save money. You just got to get creative with it, look some things up, and make sure you're giving them the right nutrition. All right, and then now we're moved in here into the nursery. Whenever it's not a nursery, this is just a layer coop. It's where I get all my eggs usually. Over there I got a little door that's shut off to an outside run, but right now I'm housing a rooster in there. So in here all I got is 2 hens, and there's 14 babies in here. A lot of you probably already seen some videos about those. These hens do not get along. So as far as costs, there's not a lot of cost in here. These feeders are fairly inexpensive. They're like less than 10 bucks. The big waterer like this, I think it's a 3-gallon. I paid about $25 for, but I only have to water the birds every probably 5 or 6 days. These are some old drawers out of a little storage container that I kept, so no cost there. Built a little box over there with some spare wood, no cost. Calm down, guys. And then these are just branches out of the yard I propped up on a cinder block for a perch. An old crate to lay in. Not a lot of cost here. Hog pan, about 7 bucks. And they do have the luxury of a coop heater in the winter if it gets too cold. Those aren't much, 30 or 40 bucks. So you see what I'm getting at here, not a lot of cost. I added the boards on an already existing structure, and they're not the treated wood. I probably should have got treated, but these were only, I want to say 12 bucks or so a panel. Built me a little door frame here. Chicken wire. And then what I wanted to show you, other than getting just the meat and the eggs out of the deal, in here I just put wood shavings, and I put some leaves in here, like dried leaves when I have them, and then straw. And I just keep adding and adding and adding, layer and layers. This is like months and months. See if I can show you here what you end up with. You add some moisture to that, and that's some really good dirt for the garden there. You got a good start for some really good compost there. All right, so let's get down to brass tacks. What can you exactly expect to get in return for spending the money that I have on birds? So all in all, I probably only got a few $100s in my setups as far as what houses my birds. But, you know, I use a lot of things that I find. I don't get extravagant with it. I'm not buying pre-made, you know, chicken coops and things like that. But you can expect to spend probably $200 or $300 for the size setup I have. And I have another pen I didn't show you guys, but all I'm out is a little bit of wood, some chicken wire, some staples, and that's pretty much it. And then you just get creative on the rest of it. Now what I spend in feed, I showed you the meat bird food. Along with that, I buy just a cheap layer pellet. And all in all, I'm probably spending $25 a week right now in feed. And that's with them eating grass, bugs, anything else I can throw their way, scraps. So all in all, $20 to $25 a week I'm feeding all these birds. And right now I have 29 birds. We got 3 roosters, the 6 meat birds, 14 babies, and 6 hens right now. And in return, I'm getting, right now, because I only have 6 hens and the majority of my birds are babies, I'm only getting about 2 dozen eggs a week. But you can figure $5 a dozen for fresh eggs. That's $10 back on my investment. I'm already halfway back to where I started. And then along with that, once I butcher my birds, I'm getting another $10+ back in meat as well. And you know, I've got money in it, I'm feeding them all this time. but I'm gonna buy meat and I'm gonna buy eggs at the store anyways, and this way I have an unlimited supply of eggs year round. Sometimes it's better than others depending on the time of year. In the winter it slows down a little bit, but I've got over half my investment back, if not all of it, once I butcher the chickens. And you can actually up that number in eggs if, like right now I have 14 babies. If I had, at one point I had 13 laying hens, and I was getting roughly 5 dozen eggs a week. So five dozen eggs, $5 a dozen, 25. That's all my money back right there, because I'm spending about the same amount in feed, honestly. So you get a lot back for your investment. It's not hard to do. I showed you how I store the feed. I show you what it entitles as far as water. It's not much. If you have 15 minutes a day to come out in the morning and the evening, or depending on your setup, maybe once a day, throw them a little bit of feed, make sure they have water, move them around when they need fresh grass. It's not that much of my day. And along with that, you have the ability to compost, have fresh dirt around your house for your garden, fresh meat, and fresh eggs. So it seems like a pretty decent investment for me. But I just wanted to encourage you guys out there that are curious about this, looking to maybe get into it, and maybe kind of timid and think that it's going to cost too much or it's real hard to do. I honestly started doing this, had no idea what I'm doing, and you kind of learn along the way. Read a few articles, buy a few books. It's not hard to do, but I encourage everybody to do it that is capable of it. God bless y'all. I'll catch you on the flip side. Later.